In this video, I'll provide an overview of how I created this harsh and unforgiving alien style landscape. So to start with, I just added a Perlin node. I didn't actually change much here. I just changed the seed, but this is where we can create the shapes for our jagged mountains. After that, I just added a craggy. Now with the craggy, the settings I kept pretty much as they are when you first add the craggy node. What I did add though was a mask by height. So I just clicked in the modifier stack and added a mask by height. And if I just drag that mask by height up to 1, you can see it's covering the whole area. But I didn't want that. I wanted it in this, I wanted it in the lower regions of the landscape. So I just dragged down the height mask to about 0.35, perhaps a bit higher, 0.39. And that just added some additional detail in the lower regions. After that, I added a sediments node. And the main reason for this is because I wanted some flatter areas, but some areas obviously where we've got sediments collecting, just some low level flatter ground. I didn't change anything in the actual sediment setting. I was happy as it came in, but of course you can alter or change any of these properties to fit more the style or the vision you're going for. After that, I added an erosion node, an erosion 2 node. For this, I just reduced the down cutting a little bit. And then I also changed the seed, and this just added a additional layer of erosion to the whole landscape. I also, because I wanted to have control over the lower areas for the texturing, from the deposit socket, I just dragged off an adjust node, and then I added an auto level in the modifier stack, and the actual properties I left as they are. And you can clearly see here, we've got a mask and these light whiter areas are covering the lower ground, which is what I wanted, because I wanted to texture the sediment areas with its own kind of detail. After that, I dragged off from erosion and then just added a rivers node, and obviously a rivers node just does as it says. I made the width a little wider, but apart from that, I didn't actually do anything else. I thought that was looking pretty good. I did in the depth mask or the depth socket, I added another adjust node, and for both of these adjust nodes, I used them for creating mask. I also just pressed F2 and then just rename them to the corresponding mask. So this is a river mask. If I select this one and press F2, I just called this sediment mask. So this was actually all I did to create the landscape. Fairly straightforward, but it was exactly the type of thing I was looking for. So there was no reason to add any more detail there. Now in regards to the texturing, so these adjust nodes, I just connected portals to them. So to do that, you just select an adjust node and press P, and then you can create a portal. Obviously in this case, I'm going to remove it because there's already one there, but if it wasn't there, it'll give me the option to create a portal. I did that for both. I also did it for the rivers node as well. So just click selected rivers, press P, and then added a portal to the output there. And that way I can connect textures without having to add connection lines. Keeps things tidier. So to start with, I just added a texture base node, and I also pressed P on it, and then I connected the in socket to the rivers portal. So that's the portal that I created from this node here, and just connected to the texture base. So the texture base has got a connection to all the details in the landscape. Then I added 2 sat maps to start with. One was just a red sat map. I thought this looked really great. It's getting that kind of Martian, like red planet feel to it. And for the second sat map, I went with something a bit more natural that looks rocky, or natural to Earth, I should say, and a bit more rocky. And then I just use a combine node. And then for the combine node, I just had a blend, set it to 1, and then I used a slope mask. So the slope mask basically masks by angle, and any areas over a certain angle will get masked out, or the other way, they will get masked in. The slope mask does need a connection to the landscape. So I also connected the slope mask to the rivers portal, and then connected that into the mask in the combine node. So the mountains I kept red, but the lower ground, the flatter ground, is the more muddy kind of look. After that, because I thought this area here, the lower areas were lacking some detail, This is where I use the sediment mask that I created a bit earlier. And for the actual sat map, I went into the color category and then picked number 52. And I just thought that had just nice lots of detail, and then I blended it in and I used the sediment mask. So this sat map is only going to show in these lower areas like so. So if I just click on the combine before, you can see kind of a lower detail approach there. And then if I set this now, so you can see when it's been added, it's adding some additional detail, like the collection of some sediment or a geological type effect. So just in regards to how I connected the sediment mask to the combine socket, so it's very simple. You can just select the combine node, just left click on it, press P, and then in the mask option, just click on that, and then it will give you the option to connect a portal. And whatever portal you've created, in this case, I wanted the sediment mask portal. I selected that. In the case for the actual slope mask, you can just drag off and then just search for slope, or you can right click and then empty space in the graph, search for slope, add it, and then connect it. And then with that slope selected, you can just press P, and that's in the mask. Sorry, in this case, in the in socket, you can select the required node. It wouldn't actually be a mask. It would actually be, in this case, it's connecting to the rivers portal, which is the details about the landscape. After that, I just added a river mask. So I added another sat map, in this case, was also red. Use the combine node and then just use the river mask. And as you can see, I've got red rivers. I was thinking more like these could be like maybe lava flows or possibly a liquid on this planet which is running red. It could be kind of a water liquid that's mixing in with all the sediments, etc. But as I was doing this, I was thinking more just go for a kind of atmospheric cinematic feel as opposed to doing something that's like, replicating reality. And then finally, I thought the mountains were lacking a bit of detail and I wanted to add some tops to the mountains. So I added another sat map. In this case, it was a sandy type of orange color, and then just added a mask. And to get this color just at the top of the mountains or the higher areas, I just simply used a height mask. So I just click on it there and you can see that height mask, very clear, very easy to set up. The actual height mask, I just selected the range in the properties just so it was only covering this very high area in the range, like so. And then obviously that just masked out the sat map, so it just went in the higher areas. I did the actual combine I used was an add, and then I slightly dropped down the ratio. So if it goes up to 1, then the effect I just thought was way too strong. I dropped it down to about around 0.38, 0.34 I quite liked. It's more subtle, but I prefer that effect. So just one more point on this height node, or the height node that I used as the height mask, is that it does also need information about the landscape. So I connected the rivers portal into the height mask. Again, just to reiterate, I selected the height mask, press P, and then in the in socket, I selected that, and then I selected the rivers portal. So it got that information about the landscape. And that was actually all I needed to do to create this harsh, hostile alien landscape. So what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of this graph and I'll put that in a blog post on my website, and I'll put that link in the details for this video. And if you've got any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comment section. And thanks for watching.